saluto a tutti.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the AJC. It is match day, Lazio Juventus today in the second leg of the semifinal for the Coppa Italia. All right, and I got Omer with me. Omer, how are you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm good. All good.
And Omar
Another
did
game.
confirm the existence of the peacocks since the last time we were on, and I saw the photos there. So there you go. Good to have you on, man. It's good to be back after my
Always
tournament
great.
there. But
Oh yeah. How are the feelings after the tournament?
oh man, I'm getting old. I'm getting old. That's one of the feelings. We unfortunately did not get the title brought back home again. Lost in the semifinals this time around, and yeah, it wasn't good. And the attitude wasn't the best for me heading down because we got that Cagliari match was literally what I was watching on the drive down because we had a 4 hour drive to get to the city we were playing the tournament on. But we're
That's a
gonna
shit watch.
Oh my God, man, what a brutal game. We
Yeah.
are definitely going to start with just some quick feelings and thoughts coming out of that game before getting into the news. And then, of course, getting to today's match. All right, we're going to take a second, say what's up to everybody in the chat. Ciao tutti, Alex P. We are going to the final. Yeah, we better not squander the 2-0 advantage. Reno, buongiorno. Sweaty, hello. Shatterstar, ciao Juventini. Roma losing was good for us, and today we secure Coppa Italia final. Let's try to end this difficult season with some positivity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hello, hello. And then thoughts on a certain squad winning the Scudetto. I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit. Max playing for a draw actually makes sense for this game. And then Matteo Camisa, morning, boys. Morning, everybody. Good morning, all right?
That
And ciao tutti.
mortifying.
Now,
Mortifying. The fact that he can
let's
play for a draw.
before we get there, let's start with the Cagliari game. Man, so I'm sitting in the back of this truck as we're driving 4 hours to get to this tournament, okay? And I'm thinking, okay, let's turn the game on. I'm sitting in the back there. You know, we got a long drive. We're still having the guys in the back seat are still having some beverages, so that helps. But I definitely distracted my friend who was driving there a few times with certain language and screaming at what I was watching because it was painful. It was painful. Omer, your thoughts on that game?
No, just another one in the books. It's not even special anymore. What can you say that haven't been said already about how you played? It was just more of the same. Flat, no energy, no grinta. Just take us the hell out of there. That's the general feeling. Just get us the hell out of everywhere, and let's finish with the season and restart. And it shows. It reflects on the pitch. So just another one to the collection.
I
I stopped counting them.
I did notice that after this particular match, there was way more backlash on the players themselves than I have seen in quite some time. Max obviously always catching the heat and whatnot, but the players on their own accord, they I saw so many that just were flat out after these guys just simply not being good enough and figuring that there's maybe a lot more than just the one issue at Juventus. Ravanelli today literally saying the same and saying, well, yeah, criticizing Allegri and whatnot, it is not the only thing, and players can't feel that all is forgotten and all is forgiven just because a coaching change may go down. Like, that's just not the case. And I did notice that the fan base was really, really ramped up and going at the players. In terms of the game, it was a brutal watch. It was a really, really bad watch. Obviously, emptied the clip offensively to try and get back in it. They did fight to get back into 2-2. Vlahovic scored a very nice free kick goal. That was a very,
Yeah.
very nice goal from Vlahovic. But overall, yeah, it's just nowhere near the standard we should be at. And again, we're talking about 12 points total, 12 games. Like, it's just a run that is inexcusable with all involved. And there's really not a whole bunch you can say. You
No, because
know,
we've been saying it's been going on for so long now. We've been talking about it for 2 months
yeah.
now, since late January. Nothing has changed. It's more of the same, and I don't expect we'll see anything different in the last couple of rounds we've got. And so, yeah, no point hashing it out. I mean, kudos to Dushan, great free kick taker, great goal. Too bad it didn't lead to a win, but that's maybe not his fault. I agree. The players deserve a lot of criticism for this match. Everyone, like you wrote to us at halftime, just shut it all down and
Oh,
just build scrap. And yeah, that's the general feeling afterwards.
yeah, it's just the I had one of the quickest recap games for shorts that I created because all I said was all I keep thinking is Juntoli, good luck and Godspeed. Because yeah, this thing's got to be blown up. It's crazy to me. It's
Yeah,
absolutely crazy to me. No excuses. Non-call
nothing
on
makes sense.
Alcaraz was just disgusting. Yeah, I mean, so that's the elbow to the top of the head. He needed stitches, I think, right?
Yeah,
In the end, it's yeah. I mean, the same that I've always said with non-calls and things like that is you still just have to find a way. You still can't. We still found ourselves down in that game, and we weren't even in it for a like quite some time before it looked like we were actually holy shit. Now they realize there's a game to be played. It's still we
and
can't look at that, you know.
and
But
that's
I
a
agree.
depleted Cagliari. That's a depleted Cagliari. I don't like looking to the referee for why we didn't win. I mean, we shouldn't be in a situation that just this penalty was not given. That's the reason we lost the game. No, we lost it a lot earlier. We were just bad, and we deserved to lose the first half definitely. And yeah, to add further insult to injury, the referee was shit and inconsistent. But I'm not looking to VAR to save us.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same. I mean, it just it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. That's the bottom line here. We are going to get to news and everything coming out of that game. Like I said, a lot of the backlash was really at the players that time around. Locatelli and Rabiot, awful as always. There was this little statistic flying around. I do want to tackle it and bring it up here, and we will take a look at it because I found it interesting and whatnot. Don't worry about that. We will get to that. But this one was on Locatelli here. We'll pull it up, and here you can see. And I just made a simple comment about this. So Locatelli, first in Serie A in the following categories: forward passes, long passes, passes to final third, tackles, and block shots. My take on this is that, and I ultimately agreed with one of the comments that came in my tweets about it because it was simply said that probably of all the major sports, statistics matter the least in football. First off, on that particular comment, do you agree or disagree, Omer?
Yeah, to some degree, all stats need context.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you look at the top passer every game, and for a lot of teams, it's like the central defender because he's passing around the back, and it's almost like 100% passing accuracy.
yeah.
If you take that out of the equation, then there's no meaning to all of that, all of those stats.
And I gotta look at this. Like, okay, number one, tackles and block shots. I've never questioned his defensive ability, so I have no problems with that. Like that's fine. That's great. Forward passes. That statistic doesn't really matter to me. when you're level with the CBs half the time, maybe even more than half the time. A forward pass is not going to be anything impressive from where he is positionally 80% of the time. Long passes, okay, great. Where do they draw the line at a long pass and what do they consider a long pass? Like,
Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of those stats are pretty vague in what you
yeah,
define.
like what are they considering a long pass? Passes to final third, okay. But if out of 305 of those, okay, 305 of those passes to the final third, if 289 are just to a wingback that's in that final third line, that's not going to be impressive to me. Go to his key passes statistic because while all of these are in the 90th percentile, his key passes are in the 30th percentile. And that tells me more of a different story. I had this battle with John in our AJC Army private chat there and whatnot, and I said, like, the stats don't tell me what we need to know. That's only half the battle. I go, and they're vague and it's not enough. I said, you still have to apply your eye test, and it's just it's not enough. It's not enough for me. The statistics, I do agree with that comment. In football, probably matter the least out of all the major sports when it comes to statistics. You really, really have to watch everything else going on. But those statistics, for me, it doesn't really say a whole bunch. That said, I still stand firm. I am still one of those guys that believes in Locatelli, and I'm hoping he gets it right. But next year will be make or break for me on Locatelli. Omer, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I don't like the over dependency on stats to prove something is. Yeah, I know who said it. Yeah, I know the line. Touche. Um, yeah, like XG and stuff. I mean, there you can't really take that into give that like that's 100% correct and that's what should have happened because it doesn't consider what player it is. And with Locatelli you also need to address what role does he play and what is expected of him and where do those stats translate to. What are they translated to? Do they translate to goals, to possession loss later, putting players in difficult situations? What do you expect from this guy? So he's a defensive midfielder. If he had two better midfielders next to him, more attack oriented guys who can do something. I mean, put Locatelli with like Cruz and Modric beside him, and suddenly those stats look different. The outcome of them, and he doesn't have that. So I look at his defensive stats. The ship has sailed for Loca as an attacker or advanced midfielder. I'm not buying that. I think he's very good at defensive, as being
Yeah.
a defensive midfielder, and he needs better partners. Otherwise, those stats are just they mean nothing.
I still feel he's capable of more, and he there was a period of time, and this is what bothers me the most is that we saw little stretches, 3 games here, 2 games here, another 2 games here, where he was getting further up the pitch, and he was starting to have a little bit of influence up there, and he was at least attempting certain passes that should be happening, key passes, attempting those key passes. Miralem Pjanic played in the same role and still had nowhere near his offensive output he had at Roma because he was playing completely different position than obviously Regista and whatnot. But he found ways to still help the offense there. I don't think anything's really stopping Locatelli than getting up there and doing that as well. But I do agree with you for the most part. Offensively, in this setup and the way we use the Metsalas, they're counted on more for the offensive phase than Locatelli.
I mean,
So,
he's a defensive midfielder in a team that has at the best 40% possession each game.
yeah,
Not a lot he can do with that from his position.
yeah, it's
But it could be better. He needs to do better.
oh yeah. They
if it's
all
expected of him.
need to. But yeah, I agree. It's more the guys on either side that need to. And I've had an issue with Rabio. I've been pretty vocal over the past quite some time here during this bad stretch. I've maybe seen a couple of good strong games, but for the most part, yeah, it's just not good enough. McKenny, bless his heart, man, because he tries with everything he has, and he is our assist leader and everything. But even there, you can notice that there's just there's something missing in the midfield that we've always known, and what have we worked to try and do to correct it? And I know that the roster has gaps, holes there that Max doesn't necessarily have anyone to go to, but you have to look for answers. We were all trying to come up with solutions and whatnot, and yeah, I don't know, the whole Yildiz thing, and then him getting into this last game against Cagliari, and finally we get to see those three playing. What were your thoughts on that, Omer?
On what three? Sorry, I was
Well,
reading the
Chiesa,
comments.
Vlahovic, and Yildiz that we saw finally share the pitch against Cagliari.
Well, that's when our goals came, didn't it?
Yeah,
It was more interesting. We were better in the second half. I don't even know if it's something they worked on in training. The minute Allegri starts making those substitutions, I kind of lose our formation, how we're playing, and who's supposed to be where. It's very hard for me to judge the runs they're making, the positions they're swapping. It kind of looks like a mess. But
yeah,
we did score that way. I mean, if we've got nothing to lose, if Roma lose another game, we're probably will be in the Champions League.
yeah.
So just go all out. What do you got to lose?
And that Bologna game yesterday, that was actually a really good watch for anybody that
Yeah,
watched that Bologna
yeah,
Roma
that
game.
was a great game. Yeah.
Man, Bologna, yeah, they played a really, really good game. I had somebody before the game because I've been vocal about if we are making that change, my first choice would be Malta, and there are still many fighting for Massimiliano Allegri, fighting for him to stay and remain. I'm not there. And somebody brought up, oh, I can't believe you'd want to go with Mota and whatnot, despite the fact they're floundering right now in these past few games and nobody's talking about it. And I said, floundering with 24 or 26 points in their last 12 games, and we are at 12 points in our last 12 games. But they're the ones floundering. Yes, I'm not there. I am not there for anyone trying to sell me on that. On top of many other reasons. Now we got to get to the news because it's big stuff when DiMarzio comes out. Because DiMarzio hasn't been that guy around Juve for quite some time. All of a sudden this summer, it's been like just reignited. All of a sudden, he's the one coming out flat out while I was away at that tournament. No, it is done with Massimiliano Allegri, and he says Mota is the guy, and Mota will be the coach of Juventus. Omar, your thoughts on it?
Uh, yeah, it looks like that's what's going to happen according to everyone. There aren't any strong links to anyone else, especially not that strong. I mean, everyone is saying it. It came from Nicolas Kira. Some are saying that it's like already done. He knows what his contract is. They're just waiting for the season to end.
Yeah,
And no news on his renewal with Bologna. So yeah, it seems like it's going to happen. I don't know what would keep Allegri at the club anymore, even from his point of view. And yeah, look, I had a full head of hair before he was appointed again.
he.
I need Mota to grow my hair back.
Yeah, it's tough. Everyone's going all in on Mota. I kind of feel like it might not be Mota. I
Really?
actually kind of feel like it might not be him
Seriously? Why?
because it's almost too much. There's almost too many people jumping on it and all this confirmation stuff and whatnot that I actually feel like it might not be him, and we might get somebody that is unexpected. But I would like Mota if we make the coaching change, but I almost feel like there's just too much there. There's too many going all in and whatnot, and we've seen such weird stuff happen lately around Juventus that I don't know. There's something telling me that maybe it's not him. Maybe it's not him. You don't feel that way though, Omer? Because there are some in the
I
chat saying
I
that Vincenzo G says, I have that same feeling. Sharias says that he's going to stay at Bologna, mark my words.
Yeah, okay. Like I see why you're saying it, and that's more suited to the previous management. A lot of hype, like, yeah, we're going all in for Pep and blah blah blah, and eventually you get sorry. But yeah, now they need to prove they're up to the word. I mean, they wouldn't have risked their credibility, all those reporters, especially Skira, who's
Yeah.
been spot on. If he's going out like that and saying that it's
But
practically done.
Skira hasn't confirmed Motta, correct?
No, he hasn't confirmed him completely and said he's going to be the guy, period.
Yeah.
But he's alluding to it. He's insinuating, in a way that if it doesn't happen, then his hands are kind of clean.
Yeah.
But
I
if I had to bet, like, I'd put my money on Mota, the coach, next season.
Yeah, I mean it's all there, but maybe there's such thing as too much smoke, and that's kind of what I'm alluding to. But I don't really know. Dells is asking, who do you think then? I don't know. Like I you guys know how I feel with everybody brushing off Conte and saying no, no chance. I don't believe that for a second. I think he's in the mix. I think Italiano's in the mix. I think there's I still think Conceição's in the mix. Like, I think we don't really necessarily know. And this whole Malta thing, again, Alex P saying if Bologna qualify for Champions League, why would they part with like players, coach, and everything like that? And a lot are asking the same of Malta. Why leave there where he's got his team? They're going into there because, well, for me, if I'm looking at it, there's a lot of coaches up for grabs. There's a lot of coaching changes going on. Even if it's not us for Malta, it could be a PSG, it could be a Barca, it could be a Milan, etc.
It could be United. They actually had the strongest links, except for us.
It's like one of those chances to like find go to a big club that they want to make that move essentially, and like, do you shut that down? Things could go differently at Bologna next season. Are they going to sell those guys regardless of them making Champions League? Like, some guys are probably still going to move because money talks. You know, it's going to be very, very interesting what goes down there. But I think like it's a good time for him to make that jump and lock in before all these positions kind of change. In terms of another coach, like Luis Enrique for me should be consider like in consideration if he's going to be leaving his post over there or they're looking at moving him too. Like, he'd be on my radar too. And look at that, Animesh right on the money the same time as I'm saying it, but he would be one of the top candidates I would have as well. Omar, what would you think about that?
Yeah, Luis Enrique, well, he has done great with Spain. His stint at Roma wasn't all that good, but I'm willing to give it a try. Yeah, he has an interesting brand of football. If he's coming to play for, tiki taka and stuff, I'm then, just leave it out. I don't want it. Honestly, I'm good with just either Conte or Mota. Like a lot of other names could be exciting, but I don't see them happening anyway.
Yeah.
It's
Huh.
definitely going to be an Italian coach. Either someone who loves Juventus or someone that Juventus for him would be a jump in our
Yeah.
current situation.
Interesting, interesting. Because the question comes up too. It's going to be Italian coach, like, but we found out that there was two-door discussions last season. Conceição was spoken to last summer or whatnot. So I don't even believe that that's necessarily a thing or it. It's going to be interesting to see what goes down. Obviously, all signs pointing to Thiago Motta, all right? But we're going to keep things rolling here. We've got Chiesa to Roma rumors and whatnot. I haven't really paid much attention to this because Roma's not going to be able to pull off the move. in my personal opinion. So I've really spent like next to nothing as far as time goes on this because I just don't see it going down whatsoever. De Rossi can be hot as hell for whatever players he wants, but it's going to be very difficult for them to pull something like that off any way, shape, or form. Omer, agree?
Yeah, I mean, how can they afford him? I don't get it. They have no money according to the reports from past season.
Yeah.
I don't see how they could have made money that would guarantee them a player like Chiesa. I don't see why would Juve sell him, because if he is on the market, Roma is definitely not his top destination, and he can get far better contract and Champions League and everything somewhere else. And so if he is on the market, Roma wouldn't win any outbidding of other teams or stuff. But I honestly think he's going to stay if Allegri leaves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think there's just a couple things that might play out. Number one, depending on what happens with him at the Euros, how much interest and who that interest is coming from is kind of going to be one of those things that I don't think really sees anything happening for Chiesa ultimately, other than this 1 year renewal and him staying. However, things can change, offers can change. We're hearing a lot with Juventus. Hoyson, interested clubs, Juve may sell. And then you get Vlahovic, interest coming in, they may sell. Bremer, if a strong enough, I literally feel like there's maybe a couple guys they'll latch onto. But if a strong enough offer comes in for almost anybody on this roster, I'm at the point I wouldn't be surprised if Juve sells. To be quite honest, like it's really going to come down to who's offering what more than anything. And I've been saying this for the past little bit that I don't think there's a set structure going into this mercato for Juventus or a set list of priorities of guys to move. I think there's dead weight that they obviously want to part with. Outside of that, I don't think there's anything structured, and I think it's all going to come down to how they can fund this mercado. For me, my personal gut feeling is Bremer is going to be sold this summer. I actually do think he's going to be sold. Unless
Mm,
the club that comes in for him is a club he doesn't want to go to. But that's what I think. Who's
well, I
funding the
hope
mercado, if you had to take a guess?
it seems like Bremer. Although the numbers of the bids, reported for Hoysen are interesting too. I mean, I would sell if it's keeping Hoysen to replace Danilo or whatever, then fine. But if he's the replacement for Bremer and we have to sell Bremer instead, I'd let Hoysen go for 30 million, whatever the numbers are, and another Sule Sol, and that's it. You don't have to sell either one of them. As far as we know, I mean, Juve's financials are kind of a mystery right now. We don't really know how much money we have, the Ronaldo money we have to pay, or what's going on with Allegri's contract, and do we have to pay him if we
Yeah.
fire him? There's a lot of question marks regarding our funds. How much do we get from qualifying to Champions League, from the FIFA World Cup? How's that going to play in? Some big players leaving, a lot of contracts getting free. I mean, I'm not a financial expert. I can't gauge all those stuff and assume how much money we have for the market. It's a complete mystery to me right now.
I want to go back to this though because you said so you would sell Sule and Hoyson if it meant keeping the big three.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
I
It's
mean, those Hoyson numbers surprised me. I didn't thought it would get that high. Like
yeah.
30 is interesting.
It's and we got to see if that is in fact where those numbers are coming from. There are some fans that were throwing out the fact that he should be valued higher than Sule already, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I don't think he's far off. But yeah, it's pretty intense. So to sell both those guys, keep the big three, but then Bremer has that same release clause next season, but it gives you a season to kind of wait to plan because we do have quite a bit of work.
Maybe
Um,
renegotiate.
and I am going to tie this in with some more comments that came from yesterday's update video because obviously the news of Rugani renewing was there. Obviously, has to be a lower salary number. So if you're looking at just headlines, okay, and this is what was kind of happening with the comments, it's renew Rugani on one headline, and then your next one is selling Hoyson 30 million euros. And there's uproar about that because I get it. If you're just looking at that, yeah, I mean it's not promising. You want to keep your young talent, especially highly touted like that. But then again, like we say, the context is everything. There's gonna have to be guys that fund the mercato for Juventus. So something's gonna have to give. And it may be a situation like that where it is a Hoyson or a Bremer or whatnot. I still am of the belief I would not sell Hoyson. Um, and I would try to keep him around. Losing Bremer, though, will hurt. But again, what are the options on the back side of it? What am I staring at? Am I staring at Calafiori and a free like Hermoso coming in? Because I could maybe then part with Bremer while still
Mhm.
being able to keep Hoyson. But if it's just a Calafiori, yeah, maybe then you do move Hoyson to keep, you know, Bremer
Yeah,
around.
I
So
don't
that's why
want.
I mean I don't think there's a set structure yet. There just can't be because there's way too many variables.
Yeah, what we can say for sure is that the market is going to be reactionary. We don't make decisions based on offers that come in. So what we're kind of saying is it's not in our hands. A lot depends on the numbers and who gets sold, who wants to leave, which will be determined by who the coach is next season. It can change players' opinions, players who want to come in and players who want to leave. I mean, Perrin is also an interesting one.
Yeah, and I mean we got the shouts coming in for Di Gregorio, Perin going into final contract year. What do you do there, Omer?
Honestly, Perrin, like, he deserves better than being a second goalkeeper who only plays Coppa Italia matches. He can do better. Roma need a goalkeeper. I think he's better than Meret at Napoli. He can still make, like, Champions League European football without being Juventus' second goalkeeper. And yeah, he's not going to be a second goalkeeper to some youngster if we buy Di Gregorio or Karnaseki. He will push for that, starting shirt. And so I don't see him staying either way. I mean, something has to happen. Either I think it's more possible that he gets sold this summer and someone will be signed next summer when Chesney has 1 year left on his contract. It's interesting. I don't get why he wants to stay. He can play a lot more. Deserves to play a lot more. I think he's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, I feel like on the Perin side of things, like they wouldn't be forced. Like you're not going to get a crazy deal. There's not going to be this insane amount of capital if he ends up walking on a
No,
free.
that's definitely no.
If he ends up walking on a free, it's not anything critical and allows you another year to kind of wait before you get that contingency plan in there. The keepers we're looking at are going to cost some money. I don't know if they want to dump it into that spot right now this summer. And that's why I'm not really expecting a lot going on there unless something drastically changes, or we all
I'm
of a
not
sudden find
expecting.
some bargains elsewhere that
Mhm.
we go that route to bring in somebody that's going to draw 20 to 30 million euros at the goalkeeping position. I just can't see it this summer, but who knows? We'll
Yeah,
have to
it's
see.
also it's a mentality problem a bit for those young goalkeepers because once you're a starter for a team, they no longer accept like a second goalkeeper or like Tech did with Buffon. He knew he came in for a season of being the second goalkeeper, and then when Buffon leaves, he'll be the first one. I don't see anyone doing it today, Carnesecchi or Di Gregorio. So someone has to leave in order for someone to come in. I don't see Juve creating another problem this summer in another area. They'll just keep Tech.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be, again, so many storylines to follow going into this mercado. And I just say the same thing. Good luck and Godspeed, Juntoli. because
Oof,
you got a lot of work ahead of you. All right, now we're gonna before we get right into this Lazio and Juventus game coming up today and whatnot. Obviously, yesterday we had the Scudetto clinched and everything like that, and you know we will talk about this. Number one, 18 plus 1 does not equal 20. Okay? And this is interesting coming from the Milan fans. All right? Mathematics are not an opinion on the pitch, it's 19. So, I, of course, had to post about this because it's funny. And Inter fans came at me. But what was funny is that it is obviously a dig at Inter, but it's almost more of a dig at Milan fans who are still part of that group that call us out on being at 36, yet all of a sudden we see it's always been 38, baby. Okay? And it's always been sul campo. As far as those guys go that won it, all you could say is congratulations in Vermeer on one of the best golf courses I've ever played, being in Vermeer. Okay, great little city and whatnot. As far as congratulating them, absolutely not. I will never do that. No, no. Took you guys long enough, and it's still only 19. You thought you were getting a congratulations from me? There. No. No. We'll be back. And I'm not concerned about it. We'll hit 40 a lot. Well, very, very soon. And we'll hit 50 before somebody gets their third or potentially even another side getting their second star. Juve's going to come back like a freight train, man. I have no doubts. This June Tully era, hopefully, is unreal. But, Omer, your thoughts on Mr. Agnelli popping up with his the date in Roman numerals of when Juve achieved their second star, obviously in 1982. And that was before I was even born, everybody. So that's a long time ago. But Omar, your thoughts on Agnelli kind of popping up?
well, that's good banter, mainly. Well, he is an Agnelli. Yeah, no no paternity test needed. Um, no, no, just all fun and games. It's good banter. I think Inter like mentioning that Scudetto mainly because it annoys us more than they actually count it as a trophy. They just enjoy saying that because it gets all of us riled up. And so yeah, that's part of the stuff I like about Italian football. The colorful owners are everywhere, and they get to express their opinion. It's part of what makes this league interesting. And Agnelli, he's another one. Maybe not anymore, but he's still a Juve fan. You can doubt it.
Hey, this thing's gonna never go away. We may as well all have fun and embrace it because when we get two more, oh yeah, we're throwing that fourth star on that some bitch, and there's gonna be nothing anybody can do about it, and it's gonna all just keep going and going and going. But I do like a little bit of the banter here and there. There were some feeling like, oh, you pop up now with this comment on the date we reached our second, yet you allowed, they were saying you didn't defend the club strong enough while you were there and whatnot. Any thoughts on that, Omer?
Well, obviously there are things you can and can't say when you're president of a club.
Yeah.
And Juve always had this maybe sort of, royalty reaction to stuff that's happening. Like that's part of the reason why Sari didn't just, he didn't make it. He just wasn't this type of person. But once you're not on the job, you can say whatever you want. I mean, we see a lot of players who are criticizing and expressing their opinion and their loves for clubs after they retire. No reason Agnelli can do it by himself. And yeah, he couldn't have said that while being Juve's president. apparently.
I think so too. I think it's just it's one of those things where now I think you're seeing that guy that's not involved in the club coming up, and now you're seeing kind of that fan, that guy that always loved Juventus. You know what I mean? That was born into it. That there it is.
One of us.
However, nonetheless, here are your updated Scudetto standings, everybody. 38, 19, 19, 9, 7, 7, 7, and then 3 and 3. Of course, Napoli, their great run during that dynasty, but somehow, some way, still at 3. So there you go. There you go.
20 dynasty.
Now, we got to get to Coppa Italia. Coppa Italia, second leg semifinal against Lazio. We have a 2-0 advantage going in here, okay? And this game, everybody's got different mixed feelings as far as expectations. Like, we're clamping down right out of the gate. Maybe we do go all in to try and get one more goal to kind of make it a softer cushion. Lazio, a mixed bag about what you're going to get. A lot of different feelings here. As far as Lazio goes, we have to talk about this. Just Guendouzi and Zaccagni are they're apparently supposed to be sidelined due to shin and ankle problems, respectively, with both. Provedel continues to be ruled out with hamstring issues. There are rumors suggesting Tudor will play a 4-3-3 against Juventus today and press because obviously they're behind and need goals and everything. So that's one of the rumors going around. For Juventus, we're hearing about a 3-5-2. Perin obviously in goal. Danilo, Bremer, Sandro, Cambiaso, McKennie, Locatelli, Rabiot, Kostic, Chiesa, and Vlahovic. But now there have been rumors popping up that Rugani can be in there. How do you guys, or how do you and everyone in the chat, how do you guys feel about, number one, the lineup or what you expect out of this game? Do you expect a clampdown right out of the gate? Or do you expect us to get after that third and then look for the clampdown, Omer?
Yes, so the formation is just whatever. Then the same thing. I'm not expecting anything different. Yeah, Kostic again. I'd love Rugani to play. I hope it's instead of Sandro and Bremer not getting the bench suddenly. But you never know. Um, with Lazio, well, I said earlier that you were kind of. It feels like everyone just want the season to be over and like they had enough. They're running on fumes. I feel like Lazio are kind of the same. Just make it end. There's nothing to win, nothing to play for. Coach resigning. A lot of players announcing they're leaving. It's their final season. They just waiting for the season to end, and they're 2-0 down. Having said that, they have to attack. It's at the Olimpico. It's at their home. They have to play. They have to play in a certain way for their fans. Maybe it's to our benefit. Maybe it'll get them confused. The 4-3-3. We do worse when, like we always say, when teams play, like mirror us with 3-5-2. Zakani and Gondouzi are out is actually good for us. And yeah, kind of plays right into Allegri's style. They'll have most of possession. We'll bank on just set pieces and counterattacks and the same thing we saw all year. I think we're going through. I don't think they're scoring. I don't think they're winning it. So
Yeah,
yeah, we'll go through it. It won't be pretty, I guess, but still.
yeah. Now that Inter have wrapped up the title, it's time to have some great laughs at your expense. I'm gonna actually laugh at an Inter fan that can't spell the word wrapped. That my 3-year-old can spell. So yeah, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Eesh. Ugh. You guys can't do math. You can't spell either. Dice nove. Now, let's get to this game. Omar, I'm gonna say this. I think that when it comes to this game today, Lazio, as you said, doesn't have a lot really going on this season. Tudor has just come in, but I think they're going to go all out today. I really,
Well, they
really
have
do.
to.
They're going to
They have
go
to.
all out. It's going to be guns blazing. 4-3-3. If in fact Tudor goes this way, though, I think that will actually help. Okay? I think that will actually help Juventus because we know when they play in a standard 3-4-1-2, a 3-5-2, etc., we just are so just timid in the midfield that we can't do what we need to. But a 4-3-3, even with the team pressing, we should have space for our guys that need to cook to operate. So we are going to have to definitely not try and clamp down out of the gate. You are going to have to go after another goal. You absolutely have to. Okay. So you got to do that. This is an interesting game. There's a lot of fans in the chat here that have said, they got a bad feeling about this one. It could be interesting. It could be interesting. The first goal in this one will be massive in both directions. If Juve gets it,
Yeah.
well then strap on your seatbelt because it's going to be clamped down the entire rest of the way, even if we scored in the second minute. But if Lazio gets one, then yeah, I don't know
If they get
how
an
this
early one,
team I don't know how this team will react because that's the question we've been having around these guys is this mentality, this frame of mind. What happens if Lazio scores first? I don't have that trust. And we're at April 23rd in the season that these guys will react strongly enough. That's where my kind of concern comes around this game is that first goal.
yeah, an early Lazio goal could really. I mean, we know what happens to Juve when they go down early. We know how hard it is for them to like overturn a result. And yeah, an early goal will just get their head spinning, and suddenly we're looking at a game where they're actually afraid to concede the second one, and that's how they looked for most of the time after we concede. So yeah, I really hope we don't get like an early goal from Lazio because that's not good news for us based on what we've seen in the past 3 years. Yeah, I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Maybe it should clamp down early, just so that won't happen.
Yeah, Trey's saying that if Lazio scores first, the game is done. Don't count on some BS pen or sus referee either. I wouldn't say it's done, but it gets very interesting for Juve. We got lots of time for Storm the Barn and everything like that. We do have to get the predictions in. You guys know the drill. It's final score. We're gonna do two tiebreakers as always. I do have some key numbers coming in here, and while our season has been obviously a dreadful turn in the second half. This is still an opportunity for Massimiliano Allegri to reach 5 Coppa Italias, which would be the most. He's currently tied with two other managers. I know Roberto Mancini has one. Why is the second one like the name eludes me? He's tied with two managers on 4 Coppa Italias out of 5 finals that he's made. So he's going for his fifth. Yeah, and this may be one of the things why, because everybody's asked, and said that he should have been pulled before and everything like that. Well, they're I think they're trying to let this happen, go down the best way possible, and maybe with the most respect given to Massimiliano Allegri. And like I said, I think potentially, if not for him, we would have been through 3, maybe 4 managers over the past few years based on how things going. Uh, the board dismantling, having to be the face of something you have nothing to do with. I can't see many coaches sticking around. It would be nice as a send off if that's the route we're going to send him off with a fifth trophy. But let's see. Let's see what happens. Juventus are the most successful side in this competition's history, having won it 14 times, having reached the final 21 times in total. Lazio have not beaten Juventus in the Coppa Italia since what year? Any guesses?
2016. Was it? No, it was earlier. 2014. They've beat us in the final.
You're so close.
one time.
2013.
13. Shit.
So Lazio have not beaten Juventus in the Coppa Italia since 2013. Lazio, on their record, have won the Coppa Italia 7 times and made the final 10 times so far. All right. Juve have made the final of the Coppa Italia in 7 of the 9 previous years. Okay. No team in the history, oh God, of the Coppa Italia has successfully overturned a first leg deficit of 2 or more goals to progress to the final.
Well, history will not be made today.
There we
And
go. Prediction time, Omer. Kick us off with your prediction.
I think it's a 1-1 draw. Feels like I hope it's a win. I hope Lazio. I hope their system doesn't work, and the 4-3-3 is kind of it could go either way, either throw us into a loop or them into a loop. And so my hope is that we'll capitalize on that and some goals, and maybe even two, and just make it a win and give us some room to breathe and some lift our spirit before we face Milan on Saturday. It will be good for the end of the season to go into the final. Should be nice.
Okay, and your 2 tiebreakers?
Yeah, I think I'll go for a Dushan goal and 9 shots total, like 4 on target.
Vlahovic goal. 9 shots total. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it would say draw all over it. Like you said, we've got Milan on the back side of it. Milan, through that chippy game yesterday, sees some key guys out of it there. We talked about the Roma defeat there. Juve's on 64 points in the table, 62 for Bologna. But Roma remains 55 with a game in hand for that 5th spot. And Atalanta with a game in hand at 54. Juve doesn't need a whole bunch to secure. But it would be nice to get the 3 points there against Milan. But of course, we need some kind of signs coming out of this one that we can feel very, very confident going into that one. And a reminder, everybody, get those likes up while you're in here. But I think I'm going to go with... I did want to say draw, but I'm going to be a little bit different here, okay? Maybe, just maybe, we get a little bit of surprise. Juve's been a stronger side in Coppa Italia for whatever reason all season long. I'm going to say that Lazio will get a goal. It won't be the first one in this game. So Juve will go up 1. Lazio will equalize. Juve will edge out the game 2-1. Okay? So I'm going to say 2-1 for Juve. I'm going to say that we see goal from... This is going to be the game McKennie finds one. It'll be this one in the Coppa Italia. So let's go with McKennie.
Saying it for like 6 matches now.
I stopped. I laid off on a couple. But if he's going to do it, it's going to be the Coppa Italia where, for whatever reason, Juve's played a better game in that. So let's go with McKennie as one of the goal scorers. Okay, and I'm going to say the other comes from a defender. So we get a goal from a defender, a goal from Weston McKennie, 2-1. And there you go, everybody. But we're not wrapped up here. We got Storm the Barn, and we got lots of time for Storm the Barn. And a reminder, you guys, let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up. Forza Juve, if you find someone that loves you the way that Swati loves Chiesa, you should marry her. Yeah, there's a lot of love from Swati to Fede there. There you go. It's good. We love it. We love the agendas, whatever it is. It's all good. It's all good. Guys, have your players you like, and I appreciate the jokes, the banter, the comments. It's great. If Juve secures a Champions League berth and wins the Coppa Italia, is there any chance of Allegri staying? Hopefully not. I don't see any scenario changing from a stretch of 12 points out of 12 matches. there's no chance. There's no chance,
Oh,
in my opinion. Well, I shouldn't say no chance because it could very well happen, but I highly, highly doubt it. You
mhm.
know,
Yeah.
don't see it.
Yeah, no, we can only go off based on reports. The rest of it is just our personal, thoughts and opinions. But according to reports, yeah, he's the guy. It's already been made all but official. It's going to be Mota, but I, I, I I don't know. I don't know why would Allegri want to stay anymore. How is it good for his health?
Yeah, it's
We're just
and
guessing,
this
but
is what I
based on
said
reports, it's Mota, and it's done.
in response to that comment that I spoke about earlier, where it was almost ridiculing fans that would want Thiago Motta to come in. Okay, um, it's like how can we ridicule the work he's done and the job there when we're literally you're fighting for a coach to remain. This team, no matter what, is better than a 12 game stretch in only league play of 12 points. It's We're not in a position to laugh at a team that's got 24 to 26 points out of that stretch and say that their coach should not be coming in here because he's doing that with a 31 mil salary while ours is
It's more.
160.
It's more than that. It's really really balanced in every department of the pitch,
Of
like the
course it's
management
more
of
than
the
that.
game.
But it just like
Um,
you can't
if you
ridicule it.
watch his game, no, of course you can. We can't ridicule anyone right now.
No.
We except for maybe Salernitana, we're like in the worst form in the league. Maybe Sassuolo too. But yeah, just watch them play. There's logic to it. It's not always pressing. It's not known as an attacking coach or a defensive coach. It's really well balanced, and we're kind of missing that. I mean, it's not Italiano who's really known for attacking football or the Zerbi. And he seems ready. The way Bologna play, that's not because their players are smarter or better or I don't know worth more in the market. It's because they've been coached to play a certain way and it works.
Yeah.
And our players are kind of freelancing.
It's yeah, it's not working for many, many reasons. And like I said, it's just Max isn't the guy for this squad or where this squad's going to be still with some work to be done on the roster. It just doesn't make sense for him either. Even if we want to talk about him not making sense for this group, either way, the pairing doesn't. Uh, it just doesn't make sense. Next one is Omer. Where's the peacock?
I have no idea what those fucks are doing right now, and
On a
it's pretty
serious
hot. I
note,
guess they're hiding. Yeah,
he says, what piece or pieces would you sacrifice to upgrade the squad? So we kind of alluded to that earlier. Um,
Max is the sacrifice for me. Those 10 million we have to pay him, whatever it is. That's the sacrifice the management is making, and I'm okay with it. No idea if it. I mean, it always comes down to the same question: Bremer or Chiesa or Vlahovic, and we've answered it quite a bit. I don't want any
Sule.
of them to go.
Sule is still on my sell list, everybody. But I don't know anymore because of what he talked about before with things changing. Losing Anderson on a free, give yourself more work up top. Maybe that saves Sule. But I sure as hell don't want to sell Hoyson. It's a tough spot. This is why I say every single decision down the line for Juntali is, you could say, critical. He's got a ton. Every decision seems like a difficult one. It seems like there should be easy ones. And probably the only easy ones are guys like Milik and Keane leaving. Outside of that, it's like, okay, it's going to be pretty difficult. Pretty difficult for him to maneuver. So we'll see what happens. what is your prediction for Bologna versus Juve game in a few weeks? Well, it's far too soon. I'd like to see what happens in the game after this one and this one today before putting something there. But I mean, your initial thoughts of it is we don't touch the ball much.
Yeah, painful to say, but yeah, that's kind of how it feels like. And a lot depends if this game rides on something or not. Like if
Yeah,
they have something to gain from winning, if we have something to lose, basically, then it changes the whole tone of the game. That's why it's hard to say a few weeks in advance. I do hope to see Fagioli in that game. That's kind of like my big expectation.
you go. Let's say we don't get the job done against Milan. Bologna is potentially passing us. Bologna potentially putting a cushion on us in that game if that one also goes sideways against them. But immediate reactions
Mhm.
on the way we play compared to them is that I don't expect us to have the ball much. And man, we got
Mhm.
barely a sniff of goal in the first time we played them. It took an Illing Jr. random cross from out the sideline and a header for us to get a goal. Outside of that, we didn't get much for opportunities against them. So yeah,
Well, they do have some not easy fixtures. Torino away is a hard one. And then they have Napoli away, then us, and then they play Genoa away. So those are three tough venues. And I'm not sure they're getting all those wins. But if they do, I mean, yeah, they could go past us. The game against them, it wouldn't be a walk in the park for us. No game is, and especially this one.
yeah.
They gave tough time to every other team in the league.
Would you sell Keenan Milik for a cost of 30 million to bring in Morata and Martial? Martial will be miles clear of anything Keane tries on the pitch. Morata's our biggest legend, so he's our biggest legend. Uh
One of them.
I okay, if you're making that swing and you could do that, I'm not gonna say a flat out no to a Morata return, even though I'm kind of so against returns and whatnot. I'm not totally against it. I would have to hear some of the alternatives. And what I've been saying is that up top, it's pretty skinny up top. We're going to need to use some free agency. If Martial is going to be one of these guys with a Morata there, that is an upgrade. That's an upgrade on Milik and Keane. I don't think anybody could say otherwise. Hey,
Mhm.
Omer?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Morata and Martial. I mean, I don't know what Martial is anymore. I have no idea if he's injured or he's one of those guys that Ten Hag just benches because he had a beef with him or something. It's like a kindergarten over there. I have no idea what's the deal with him, but it did have a lot of injuries, and that doesn't spell good news for Juve.
Yeah.
Like, I even letting both of them go and just having Morata back is enough for me.
Yeah. And I go back
I could
to
do
the
without
whole
Martial.
Sule thing and Sule maybe not being sold. If we do bring Malta in, maybe he wants Sule around, and maybe it would make sense for his game to keep, especially if we do end up going a 4-2-3-1 or whatnot. Then Sule makes a lot of sense to keep around. It's going to be again. There are no easy decisions. Juve's going to have to work free agency though. I think we should wait to see what happens with certain midfielders because I think we should look at an experienced guy coming in on a free at the midfield and then looking up top. But we'll see what happens. Galafiori is surely a must for Juve next season. Thoughts? Galafiori's a solid player, man. So flexible and versatile, man. It would be awesome to sign him. I'm all in for Calafiori.
Yeah, if you go back in our group chat, like way back to November, I've been, harping about him for a long time, and I didn't get any confirmation from anyone else that he's seen that too. But now a lot are seeing it. He's a great defender. I would love to have him. I don't know. He's kind of the same like Mota. It seems like the wheels are already in motion, and they have talked, and he wants to go to Juve. That's based on reports. I hope
Yeah.
it does happen. Great, young, Italian, versatile, kind of the way Chiellini was, playing left back and center back and altering between them, gives Mota more options. If it's Mota, then it's someone who's worked with him in the past, along with Cambiasso. I mean, yeah, it could be interesting. It's very logical. It's a very logical move for Juve right
Yeah.
now.
What are the realistic expectations for us in the Champions League next year? Well, I think
Well, hard to
without
gauge because of the new format. Like, I have no idea how it's going to work and how they're going to spread out the games.
it's hard to
Real
gauge because we have no
expectations,
idea what we're even playing, who's around,
yeah.
what the team even looks like.
How many
It-
wins do we need? How many away games? I don't remember the format and how it works. My initial gut reaction is, yeah, we should at least qualify,
yeah,
like get out of the first round, and after that, yeah, okay, a lot depends on who you get and where you
yeah,
finish, and you get a Bayern and lose to them, then that's not that bad.
yeah.
And yeah, so that would be my guess. Qualifying from the new group stage would be realistic for me.
What's up with Coyote? Is he someone that we should keep our eyes on?
Yeah, so we've brought him up after the Fiorentina game, and I've said, yeah, he's an interesting guy. He reminds me of Udogi, who's sadly going to miss the Euros now. Yeah, young Italian, 19. All our guys who played on the left that day had a tough time dealing with him. Very athletic. I'm all for it. I've said it right after the game. You should look at him because we don't have a right back anyway. Maybe we can pull him off on the cheap right now and not lose him like we did with Udoji. We were interested, but then his name was too big, and Tottenham just swooped in.
Yeah. All right. We're just looking through, scanning through Samardzic and Luis Alberto in the midfield. I still am on the very much on the Samardzic train. It is going to be one of the less expensive moves. I would do it if you have an opportunity for Luis Alberto on cheaper. I would go there. Jorginho, I'm opening up to Jorginho to be honest, because we are going to have to work some cheap moves in there. Goodmanson, all of a sudden, man, the story around him changes all the time, it seems. Wants
Yeah,
the
his
Prem,
number
doesn't
keeps.
want the Prem. Prem teams are interested. Inter's, oh, he's made his mind. He wants to go to Inter. No, Juve's very much not out of the running for him. We're still in on it. I would love to add Goodmanson. I just, you can't gauge what the hell is going on there. But your thoughts on like a Samardzic and Goodmanson?
Yeah, so Samardzic, obviously, yeah, mainly because of the price and what we've seen from him. Although it didn't have like a magnificent season, but still the talent is there and he can make the leap, in my opinion. Goodmanson, I know every time like when he has his name linked with Juve, the price goes up by 10 million. So based on the latest reports, we can't afford him. I mean, 30, 40 million spending on one player who did well for Genoa, that's a gamble. Especially
Yeah,
when you have options like you said, Jorginho and Samardzic, who could together cost less than 20.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna
If
be
we if we splash, it wouldn't be on Goodmanson, in my opinion. He's a baller. He's a player. There's a really good player there. Just the price
well.
doesn't match it.
The kicker is, and this is why, because normally I'd say, yeah, they're not going to do that. They're not going to make that splash. But I'm thinking they're not going to do the 50 to 60 splash. If he's 30, it really comes down to the fact that Genoa is interested in a couple players. And there you have more decisions to make. Whether that be Miretti, whether that be Hans Nicolucci Caviglia, whether that be one of the defenders, who knows? But it really is going to come down to the rest of the missing pieces. If we have players that they're interested in that could bring that price tag down, then I could see it happening. If it's a straight deal, there's no chance we go in on Goodmanson for 30 to 40. If there's a couple players that can bring that price tag down and he then becomes not necessarily a splash, but a less expensive option, then it could open up for us. But as a standalone deal, I'm with you. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. You know?
No, if you would splash on one player, I don't think it's going to be Goodmanson.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what ends up going down. I think there's some more coming up here. So, would you sell this from Meran? And again, everybody, get those likes up here. Would you sell Bremer for 55 to 60 or Huijsen for 30 to 35 this summer?
The latter.
55 to 60 is too light. The release clause is going to be
Yeah.
70 next season. If we don't get 70 this summer, so if you change a question to, let's say we get what his release clause were, let's say we get 70 this summer, or 30 to 35 for Huijsen, it's around the same in capital. It's very close to the same in capital, I'm pretty sure, these moves. If you take Huijsen at the high side, 35, Bremer at what his release clause is going to be, it's very close to the same in capital. 35 mil for Bremer, just shy of that for Huijsen. Are you going to lose Bremer anyways next season? Most likely. Huijsen's got upside on the long-term thing if we keep him around and everything. Oh man, I'd hate to go into that next season without Bremer, but somebody has to be sacrificed. And if Bremer's going to be end up leaving anyways, maybe Bremer.
I don't think Bremer's stock is going to drop. Even at Juve being as bad as they were this season, he still shined, and there are still clubs looking at him. So yeah, like 55, 60 sounds too low for me. 30, 35 for Hoysen. That's actually a great deal. 35? You kidding me? I'll bag it myself.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Tough calls, man. But like I said, it's hard to just say no Bremer next season because he is a rock and has been a rock for us. But at the same time, something's got to give financially. And so we sell Huijsen this summer, and then you sell Bremer next summer. Okay, well, there's one of your contingency plans. And if you're looking at a 17-year-old Leone who looks to be sharp and could have a great future ahead of him, it's still you're banking on potential on the backside of Huijsen. It,
Well,
it's
there's a good chance that not a good chance, but there's also a chance that Gatti and Calafiori will flourish into a backline partnership of two center backs because they can kind of complement each other and they are relatively similar to the way Chiellini and Bonucci
yeah,
suit each other well. I mean, anything can happen. I know we'll have a lot of other names by the end of next year on our plate
yeah.
that we'll be looking at.
Milan Avteo, Tomori, and Calabria suspended against Juve. Our chances against Milan just depends what Juve shows up, but that's a great trio to have out for their team, especially Teo and Tomori. So, like to take advantage of it, but again, what Juventus shows up. So it's a good opportunity for us, though, to get a big 3 points there. Let's
Well,
see if we could take anything out of this game today into that one. All right.
we we barely got a draw against a depleted Cagliari, so even a depleted Milan is not something I'd say we definitely going to win.
Yeah. Okay, we're almost near the end, everybody. Got to shut it down a little bit before schedule today. Just we got a little bit of a sickness running through the household with the kids and everything, so I got to help out there. But top three signings you both want this summer?
Okay, so are those realistic signings for Juve or just general
Yeah,
three
let's
players
do
looking
realistic. Top three realistic.
realistic? So I would take Calafiori. Um I would take Xerxes, and I would take Samardzic. I mean, a lot of it depends on how we're going to play next season. My answers may be different if we're playing 4-3-1 or 4-3-3, or retaining the 3-5-2. Then I'll
Yeah,
change my answer. But realistic, those are the three names that I think Juve can pull off with the right sales.
yeah. I will go Calafiori, Jorginho, Samardzic for my three. Give me those three.
Mhm.
Give me those
Okay.
three. And I'm good. And I'm good. George, how much of an impact do you think Fagioli will have next season?
Tough to say. I don't know how it's going to come back after a full season of not playing. It will take some adjusting. Are we signing two midfielders? Because, like, if it's Coop Miners and Samardzic, or Luis Alberto and Samardzic, he's going to be a rotational player. He's not going to be a starter. If we sign one, he's going to be a big piece of that midfield, and I hope he'll have a great season. Maybe he needs a little more guidance than what he was given so far. I don't know. It's kind of an assumption question. I assume he's going to have a great season. I hope he does, but I have nothing to base it off.
I I think he's gonna. I don't want to like be this Debbie Downer type fucking guy or whatnot, okay? But all I'm gonna say is he goes back to the same spot he was heading into this season for me, and that was that I was gonna be looking at him to have a breakout season. He came last season. He became critical for us in forming our best midfield trio, and he was bringing something that we needed out of the midfield. This season, I was looking at him to have that breakout year. So there was still that question mark there. It wasn't
And
a
him
given
with
for
that,
me, and I still had the jury kind of out on him as far as what levels he could reach. I'm right back at square one, so I'm not going to say that he's going to have this massive impact. I hope he does, but we're still waiting for that breakout year for Fagioli. And that is, if he
hmm,
can do that, then his impact will be very, very big. If he can do that. But I've questioned that all along. But I do think his positioning has been one of the things I've always just not liked. He's too quick to drift out into no man's land where we don't need him. In training sessions, every training highlight and a lot have come out from Fagioli. He does his damage in and around that top of the area, the top of the 18 is where he's banging worldies and sending beautiful through balls, everything. He has to figure out how to get there in game, and your coach also has to help get him in those positions. So
yeah.
he could end up having a massive impact on this team, depending how all the rest plays out. But we're still
What's
waiting for this
what's
Fagioli
in,
breakout.
what's interesting for me now is we were a bit critical towards him last season. We expected some different things, but in hindsight, now we know what he was going through, and it obviously affected him on the pitch. And I would like to see him play without that chip on his shoulder,
Yeah.
like a new guy with, I hope, like fresh drive to succeed and leave all that addiction and gambling behind him. Because we can look at a different player. Sometimes it's all you need just to let go what's bothering you, and suddenly you see a new player. So I hope that's what we get.
Yeah, I mean, we're all going to be rooting him on and everything, and we'll see him late in the season and hopefully against some hits and hopefully, some indications that he's going to come back with a vengeance and light the place up. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But everybody, it's down to Lazio Juventus today, second leg of the Coppa Italia semifinal. Hopefully, we've already got one foot in that final. We cannot falter today. Let's see ourselves into that final. the one-off, hopefully get a trophy and add a badge to that kit for next season, okay? No watch along as I will be at work, okay? But enjoy the match. Back tomorrow for the post-match podcast. We'll tackle that, everything in the aftermath, all right? So another live session tomorrow. And then, of course, we get ready for this weekend against Milan. So again, reminder to please like the video on your way out. Live chat, you guys, amazing as always. All right. Missed you guys this weekend while away from my tournament, okay? I did miss the live sessions and definitely missed the watch along because it's not the same watching that horror show without at least having some sympathy around, all right? So there you go. I missed you guys.
Company, yeah.
And for the tournament, everybody that was asking, messaging, whatnot, we unfortunately lost, did not defend the titles. We lost in the semifinals. Ended up taking third place in the tourney that went to kicks. And what happened? Maybe we had a little too much fun Saturday night. That is all I'm going to say, because Sunday it was awful. It was awful watching us play on Sunday. Nothing was working.
It was like frat guys just waking up to a football match after a night of drinking. Who was at fault, the manager or the players?
We had 5 managers due to injuries this season. So we had 5 guys that called themselves our coach. And we looked at the sideline. At one point, I'm like, hey, how much time? And not one out of 5 of these guys was keeping track of the time in the game there. And I'm like, oh, guys, come on. What are we doing here? It wasn't working. We needed a little bit of help, I think, at the back end. Back line was a little bit suspect, and through that, we couldn't push as much as we wanted to. They played me up out on the wing there, and it was slim pickings, lads. I could barely get the ball. I think I would have done more helping the team out in the midfield. However, it's all hindsight's 2020. I still had a blast. My outdoor season starts this week, and we go from there. Clown show. Hey, shit happens, man. Shit happens, okay? And I definitely was not playing like that, okay? Not playing like that. But you guys, is what it is. Take care. Enjoy the match. We'll reconvene tomorrow, and then you guys can make fun of my football skills even more, okay? Ciao tutti. As always, Forza Juve. Fino alla fine. Get the job done today against Lazio. Let's go, everybody. Let's go.
Yeah.